As many of you know, Microsoft has introduced Copilot into many of their applications. You've probably played with a lot of them. In fact, probably most, if not all, their applications now have some sort of Copilot in them, some sort of Copilot functionality. So what we're going to do today is take a look how we can use Copilot Studio to create our own Copilots. So it allows us to create use our own knowledge, our own actions, and have Copilot do things for us. Find information. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a very simple example, something that everybody can do. Stick around at the end of the video. I'll give you some homework on kind of the best way I think you should to try and learn this. So really all we need to do to create one of these Copilots is we need to create our Copilot, Copilot Studio. We need to give it some knowledge. And really that's the only two elements we need to do. We're going to go ahead and move a little bit further. We're going to add some actions. And then we're going to kind of refine it a little bit, refine the messaging that it gives us a little bit there. So let's go ahead and get started on that now. So I'm over in Copilot Studio and I'm on the home page, and the home page allows us to see the recent Copilots. We can create a Copilot right from here. If we go over to the agents section here, we can see that this is a list of Copilots that are already that I've already created in my environment. To create a new agent, let's go ahead and click New Agent. And you get introduced to this experience that allows you to walk through Copilot and enter in plain language what you want to do. I'm going to skip that for right now so we can kind of go through the elements here. And we'll go back at the end of the video and I'll show you, we'll walk through an example using plain language to kind of do the same thing. So the first thing we want to do is give it a name. I'm just going to call this, we'll do Weather and Travel Agent. At this point, I can change the icon if I have an icon. The icon needs to be less than 30K, but you can create your own icon. I'm just going to leave this default for now. And then let's talk about what the description is. I'm going to go ahead and copy some language in here so you don't have to watch me type this out. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the description and some instructions here. And the description basically tells the Copilot what it is. So this is an agent specializing in providing information about weather and activities. It maintains a helpful tone, et cetera, et cetera. Now the instructions are sort of the tasks, the parameters that the Copilot operates under. So I've got some things in there like provide accurate, up-to-date information about weather, maintain a helpful and friendly tone, that sort of thing. So all the different instructions you can give it, you'd want to put in the instructions there. The next thing we may want to do is we may want to give it some knowledge. So knowledge can be files, websites, SharePoint sites. There's lots of different knowledge. We'll hit add here in just a minute. We'll see what knowledge is. But we just want to give it some sort of knowledge. In our example today, we're going to give it a website, TravelAdvisor.tripadvisor.com. That's where I get a lot. I've used that site a lot for when I travel. So to add that knowledge to our Copilot, let me just slide down here. We're going to click on Add Knowledge. And if we click Advanced, we'll see there's a lot of different knowledge types we can add. Like I said, right now I'm going to just use the website for right now. And the website I'm going to use is tripadvisor.com. And we'll add that knowledge in there. And we'll add. And if you've been noticing, as I've been editing here in the middle of the screen, it's been kind of filling out on the right-hand side what it's going to do, what the Copilot's going to do. So once we have all our basic information in here, what we're going to do next is we're going to hit Create. That's going to create our Copilot. Now this generally takes around 30 seconds to a minute. It doesn't take a lot of time, but you'll see it when it pops back in here. We'll see the instructions load in there, the description, our name's already there, our knowledge, and there it is. So I try to leave this in real time so you can kind of see how long it's actually going to take. Now, if we look here in Copilot Studio, it goes ahead and sets us into a test screen where it gives us some welcome text that it's generated. Some of this will probably change, so this sentence here is probably something that you wouldn't want to have in your actual Copilot, but we'll change that in a minute. So this test pane allows us to test our Copilot. Now at this point, we're going to add some extra stuff to this, but we actually have everything we need to do to start asking it some questions. So, for example, I could say, what are some things to do in Atlanta, GA? That's where I'm at. And it should go back and take a look at the the TripAdvisor.com site, and it did come up with some things to do in Atlanta, Georgia. And if I go ahead and click on here, the 15 best things to do in Atlanta, Georgia, it'll take us to TripAdvisor and give us that reference there from that website. So it's looking at that website to give us information. Now, let's go back over here to the overview. It flipped us into the topics. We'll talk about that in a second. So something else we may want to do here, there's this allow AI to use its own general knowledge. If you only really want it looking at the knowledge you're giving it, we probably want to disable this. I'm going to go ahead and disable this one. And then one other thing that we probably want to do as well, we want to enable the AI orchestration. So this allows the AI to determine what knowledge to use, what actions to use once we get to that point, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So the next thing let's do, let's go ahead and add an action. Now, an action is connecting via an API. It's performing some sort of action. It's not just reaching out to grab some information from a file or website, but it's actually calling an API, or it's saving something, generating an email. Those are all examples of actions. So here I'm going to go into add action, and there's one of these I can use. It's the weather. And if you've used Power Automate, these actions probably are going to be pretty familiar to you. They're the same ones that are in Power Automate. So I'll click there and search for the weather, and we'll just use this MSN get current weather and let that load up there. Now, in any of these actions, what you're going to see is a lot of them have inputs and outputs. We'll get to take a look at that here in the next section here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to enter a description. This gets the current weather. There we go. Just kind of give a description on what this item does. And we'll go ahead and hit next. And here's our inputs. So in this particular one, we have two inputs, location and units. Now, we can go ahead and edit those. Now, location here, it says dynamically fill in with the best option. So what that's going to do is that's going to take a look at the user's response and fill in the location automatically. So here I'm in the US, so what I want to do is I want to give my temperatures in Fahrenheit. So on the unit side, what I want to do is I want to set it as a value. I don't want it to, ever return a value that's in Celsius, for example. So what I'm going to do is I've set this as, going to set it as a value, and I'm going to choose imperial here. So I as imperial, C as Celsius. So we'll do that, and we'll click save. And we'll see that we have the location is going to dynamically fill in from the user's response. And then the units is, I'm just basically setting it to I. We could do the same sort of thing on the outputs. These are all the various outputs that this API is going to give us back. I'm going to leave these, but we could come in here and we can edit. We could remove certain things if we didn't want that information to return. But I'm just going to leave that here for now. We'll go ahead and hit save here, and then we'll go ahead and click next. All right, so we have all that information. We'll go ahead and click finish. And we'll let that load up here, and we'll see that show up in our actions there. So now we have our get current weather. So now what we can do, we've kind of tested our knowledge on our TripAdvisor site. We can also say, what is the current weather, if I can spell. All right. And now remember we had two inputs there. We had the city or the location and the measurement. So I didn't really, let me go ahead and connect to that. Sorry, I'll leave it in there. Let me just go ahead and create this connection there. It didn't have a connection on it. Let that go. Down, it should come back in connection. I'll leave this in here. I won't edit this out. It's just things that you run into there. So I'll go ahead and have that create that connection. And notice it did find when it tried to query, it did have the location. That location came from my previous query. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reset my query so it doesn't have that doesn't have that in its knowledge. So I'm going to reset the session there. Should have done that in the first place. So let's go ahead and try it again. What is the weather? Again, if we remember, it's gonna be looking for a city, and I have not specified a city. I haven't previously told it a city, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to go ahead and it's going to ask me what is the city, region, state. I'm going to put Atlanta, Georgia, and we should see it populate there in the session there, and it's going to give me the current weather for Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. So some other cool kind of things that we can do is we can do something called dynamic chaining. We can basically ask it two questions in one. You know, what is the current? Again, if I could spell, the hardest part of all this is being able to spell it out. What is the current weather in, let's see, Atlanta, and what are some things to do? Okay, and let's see what it comes back with that. So it should get a response that has the weather in it. It should have some things to do as well. So let's see what it comes back. So yeah, so there it comes back. It says when the weather is sunny and 63 degrees in Atlanta, I might enjoy various outdoor activities. So it's even mentioning that it's outdoor activities because it's kind of nice today. So it's giving us some activities, giving us the weather. We still have our website reference that we have, et cetera, et cetera. So this is one of the most powerful things that the AI does. If you notice, I just gave this a website, an API to call with weather, and it came up with its own look for outside activities because it's nice outside. That's the kind of reasoning that it can kind of put in there and determine things that you don't really realize that it might do. It actually does just by just giving it some knowledge and giving it an API to call, giving it the information. So that's one of the most powerful pieces of this. Otherwise it's just basically kind of like a big Google. You're just putting in search, but it actually will. It's not thinking, but it will put things together and relate things together that in ways that you really don't anticipate sometimes. So that's another, it's a good thing, and it's a warning to be sure and test these very well to understand what it's going to do before it does it, right? All right. So the next thing let's take a look at is let's take a look at cleaning up the kind of the message here. I want to get rid of this sentence here. Maybe put some sort of sentence to it, and then maybe give a suggested question that the user might ask. Sort of a prompt to the user to understand what this can do. So where we can go for that is if we go into the topics here, and topics allow us to create basically a standard flow through a conversation. So you may not want generative AI to give all the answers all the time. There may be certain subjects where you want to ask specific questions, etc. And topics allow you to do that. So this particular item here that we're going to look at is during the conversation start. So if I go into the topics and go look at the conversation start topic here and open that up, so it'll have a trigger on conversation start, and then if I click in here, I'll see hello, I am bot name. So this is just the name of the bot that we had. This is just a variable that contains that, and here's the sentence that is in here. So what I want to do is I want to remove this, if you provided a website, that's more for the creator. And maybe I want to say, I can answer your questions on weather and trip activities. Okay. So we'll go out of that and be sure on this one, hit save, so it saves it. And then let's let that save, topic saved, and we'll refresh the conversation here. And we'll see that it says, I can answer your questions on weather and trip activities. Now, something else you may want to do is give the user prompts on what kind of questions it can ask. Like, for example, we might want to prompt the user to say, what is the weather? Where we can do that is if we click on the add right here, we can add a quick reply. And quick reply, let's just type in, what is the weather? Okay, I can add that one. I can add multiples here. I can add several of these. What are some activities, etc. All right, so I can add a couple of different quick replies there. Okay, so let's go and see what that does. We'll go ahead and hit save here, and let's refresh. And you'll see those show up down here. So all the user needs to do is click on the what is the weather item. It's gonna ask what is the weather. And again, we don't have a location there, so we can do our same response, Atlanta, GA, hit enter, and that's going to load up our answer there and give us our answer. Okay? Now that we've created our agent, I've kind of shown you the different pieces. Let's go back and let's go to the home page. And last time we went through agents, let's go ahead and hit create this time. And let's go through the natural language experience. So from here, I want to create a new agent. So after I click create, I could use a template of one of these that are down below, but I'm just going to create a new agent here. And let's describe the agent. We'll do the same thing. We'll just see how this works with it. So I want to create a travel and weather agent. Okay, and let's see what it'll do. If we notice on the right hand side, it's going to show us the information that it's generating. So it tells us, great, your travel weather agent set up to provide travel information, weather forecasts, and travel tips. Let's decide on a name for maybe, how about travel guide? Or, so you can please confirm or maybe suggest another one. So let's say yes, that's fine. And then I'm going to show you something we can do here after that. So after so it's going to set the name to travel guide. And it's going to ask us, what should be emphasized or avoided in the agent's responses. Now, we don't have to respond to this particular question. It will understand our language if we type into it. So let's just say we don't really want to call it travel guide. Let's call it, can we call it travel tips? And it should go back and rename it. Yep. So the name's, agent's name's been updated to travel tips. What should be emphasized or avoided in the agent's response? So let's just say it should only respond to travel and weather questions. I'm going to limit its scope there. And again, it's just adding to the information over here on the right-hand side. So how do we want the agent to talk? Should it be formal, casual, friendly? Let's say it should be professional and friendly. Right. Any public accessible website. So last time we used TripAdvisor. Let's just put that in again. TripAdvisor.com. And we'll see it use that for our information. And notice over here it has our knowledge that it's adding over there. And then do we have any further refinements? Oh, I'm going to say no. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll click. Last time we hit skip to configure. Let's go ahead and hit create. And we'll give it a few minutes. It shouldn't take a minute, but give it a little bit to load here. All right, so now that's loaded, we have our name that we set, travel tips. Just gives a description to the agent. Provide travel and weather information to users. Should respond to only travel and weather related questions. So it's gonna kind of summarize our instructions. It's added our website to it. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my generative AI there. And so now once that's done, we could edit we could add, our weather site if we wanted to, but let's just say, let's just ask it a question just to show that it works. What are some activities in Atlanta, Georgia? And then it should come back and just search its knowledge sources. And the only one we have is our TripAdvisor. So it should have our TripAdvisor site that comes up. And then we have our same response that we that we had earlier, where it gives us some responses there. So what I've tried to do today is give you just a very brief introduction, explain how you can generate one of these Copilot agents very quickly with information that you provided. You can get a free trial to Copilot Studio. Just go to Copilot Studio and get the trial, try it out. That's the best way to learn this stuff, is to kind of experiment around, give it some information, ask questions on it. You might have files and things that you've got that you want to ask it questions and build one of these. Okay, so it's really simple. Really recommend you try it out. If you enjoyed this video, if you don't mind, give it a like. That just helps me on the distribution of this and helps it reach more people. Just helps me. Doesn't cost you anything. If you like this content, please subscribe to the channel as well. That also helps the distribution of these videos. I put out one of these generally once every week, once every couple of weeks. I'm putting some of these videos out. So if you like this comment, go ahead and subscribe as well. Okay, so again, appreciate you watching. If you stuck with me for this long, thanks. Have a great day. See you later. Bye.